Broadcasts of the City of Neenah Common Council meetings are produced by University Studios of the University of Wisconsin-Fox Valley. Neenah residents can get information about City Council meetings, City Committee meetings, meeting agendas, and other documents via the City website, www.neenahgov.org. Neenah residents can express their opinions about city issues or about these broadcasts by contacting the mayor's office, contacting their city alderman, or by completing the electronic feedback form on the city website, www.neenahgov.org. All public portions of the meetings are recorded in entirety and are not edited for playback.
Welcome. I'd like to call the meeting to order of the Neenah City Council for Wednesday, May 15th, 2019. Appreciate everyone coming out tonight. It's kind of one of our special nights where we get to honor and recognize some long-term employees, some exemplary performance employees, and we're glad you're here. The first item of business will be the roll call. Members of the council will answer the clerk as she calls your name and sign in on the roll call machine, please.
Alderman Boyette.
Here.
Bates.
Here.
Lang.
Here.
Vendrum.
Here.
Erickson.
Here.
Spellman.
Here.
Steele. Coons.
Here.
Stevens.
Here.
Oh, you're good.
There are 8 members present, 1 absent. Tonight, next item of business next item will be the Pledge of Allegiance. This is Police Week this week, and today is National Peace Officers Memorial Day. Today, May 15th. So we will be led in the pledge by our newest captain, Captain Jeff Bernice of the Neenah Police Department.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice.
Thank you, Captain. I do just want to take 1 minute to thank all the law enforcement officers. As I mentioned, this is Police Week, officially the week that we recognize as Police Week, and want to thank each and every one of our officers and staff for what they do day in and day out for us here in the city of Neenah, and all the police officers around the country. We say thank you for doing the jobs you do and protecting us, so thank you very much. All right, tonight, like I said, is a exciting night. We get to say thank you, we get to honor, we get to recognize people who have done extraordinary things for the city of Neenah and the citizens of this city by the work that they do. We also get to recognize people who have given many years to the city of Neenah of service, an outstanding service and hard work and dedication to this community and to the city. Tonight, Alderman Stevenson and I, we have the honor of recognizing 25-year employees, 30-year employees, and even a 35-year employee. And then after we're done with the recognition of those folks, we will, along with department heads, we will give some presentations of some exemplary performance awards for the past year. And I'll talk a little bit more about when we get to them. So we are really appreciative of the employees that have given this community a lot of years of service. And tonight we're going to recognize 8 different individuals who have given 25 years, who are celebrating their 25th year of service to the city of Neenah. 2 have 30 years, and one person has 35 years. So with that, I think Todd and I will come down and we will do the anniversary awards at the table. All right. Got it turned on. There we go. Good, Todd. So we would like these folks to come up if they're here and be recognized for 25 years of service in the water department. We have Jeffrey Boree. Is Jeff here? Jeff's not here. In the public works department, Patrick Engelbreath. Okay. In the Neenah Menasha Fire Rescue, Jim Peglow. Deputy Chief Peglow. Larry Reckner in the Water Department is recognized for 25 years. Some of these, they weren't able to make it tonight. There are some folks here, and some were not able to make it. Kevin LaMarche in the Parks Department. Pat Fisher in the Public Works Department. Patty Frymouth in Finance. Christopher Johnson in Parks. And then we also have, I left my other sheet up there. Yeah. Same as mine. So unfortunately, none of those were able to make it in the 25 years. For 30 years, from the Neenah Menasha Fire Rescue, we have Peter Youngers. Peter's here. Peter, congratulations and thank you for 30 years of service to the city of Neenah and Menasha. Captain, well job. Well done. Also from the Neenah Menasha Fire Rescue, celebrating 30 years, Randall Flunker. Randy, come on down. Thank you. You got a photo?
All right.
If you want.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. And nice job. See how the captain's pulling that call off on the other guy so they didn't have to go, so they could stay? Very good. This person wasn't able to make it either, but Patty Cundy is celebrating 35 years with the city of Neenah. So we want to congratulate Patty on her 35 years. So those, each person gets a plaque here and also a check from the city of Neenah, and we want to say thank you very, very much. You know, in this day and age, in the private world and that, a lot of people aren't staying at their jobs their whole career, and they're moving on, and people are changing. So we appreciate your dedication, your outstanding service, and want to say just thank you to each and every one of you, because together we got a pretty good team here, and we do a lot of good work for the citizens of Neenah. So thank you. The next portion of the agenda. A few years ago, Heather Barber, the director, HR director, and the city council and the mayor, we wanted to somehow honor or at least single out, or there were employees throughout this community that had exceptionally good years, that went above and beyond what's expected. They exceeded expectations in many ways. Maybe it was a single project. Maybe it was a way to save the city money. Maybe it was some process or something that we're doing better today than we did previous years and saving the taxpayers dollars. So we came up with a program called the Exemplary Performance Award. And tonight we're here, we're going to honor some of those individuals who received the Exemplary Performance Award. These individuals can be nominated by their supervisor, another employee, the mayor, And we take those nominations and we look them over. And these are for the folks that really did an outstanding job this past year. And we, as a council and as a mayor and as a community, we want to say thank you for doing such a great job for us. So with that, I will start out with the library. We're going to ask the department head to come up. And Gretchen, we'd like you to come up, and we're here tonight to honor Hannah Schroffnagel. Yeah, please.
Hannah was nominated for the Exemplary Performance Award by Youth Services Manager Katrina Wolf. Katrina could not be here this evening and has asked that I share this with you. Hannah is an assistant librarian in the youth department. She has proven herself to be an incredible asset to our library, contributing greatly to our children's department's success. She has taken classes in early literacy principles and brings back vital information, sharing what she's learned so that our staff can improve story times and programs, providing more engaging and educational events for the children in our community. She is responsible for a whole host of successful family programs and outreach programs. In addition, Hannah does an amazing job enhancing the children's areas of the library. Her displays and seasonal decorations are creative and make our department welcoming and special. Hannah recently took on the task of reimagining, reorganizing, and revitalizing our parent-teacher collection of books and DVDs. It is now a far more accessible and attractive collection. She is committed to providing the best possible customer service, and her colleagues can always depend on her if they need a hand with a project, a program, or assistance in helping children and parents or caretakers find the right book. Her positive, generous, compassionate attitude makes her a joy to work with. Even the patrons know what a gem she is. Her programs are loved by children and parents alike. As one Storytime parent said, "Hannah, you are walking in your gift. Thank you for sharing it with us." And I couldn't agree more. Congratulations, Hannah. You are most deserving of this award.
Congratulations. Thank you very much. The next two people we're going to honor together, Judy Larson from Public Works and Greg Radke from Public Works. And doing the recognition will be Director Jerry Kaiser.
2019 was a challenging year for Public Works administrative staff on a number of fronts. Easily the greatest challenge related to the conversion from manual refuse collection and manual recycling collection to automated collection. This entailed not only truck purchases and training, it involved matching each of our 10,000 customers to their preferred size for refuse carts and recycling carts. With the 3 cart sizes offered, this was going to be complex enough. Throw in the loss of mail by the U.S. Postal Service at the start of the mail-in selection, and the complexity increased exponentially. Greg and Judy worked to develop processes to clean up duplex property information, track cart requests, track lost in the mail cart requests, schedule cart swaps so that ultimately each property in the city received the carts that they wanted, and deal with all of the other issues and concerns raised by residents and hundreds upon hundreds of phone calls. Their professionalism and patience during this major change allowed us to implement on schedule and get residents quickly acclimated to a new way of doing things. Finally, I would be remiss if I didn't also thank former Superintendent Rick Freese for his efforts and leadership in this conversion. But I'm here to recognize Greg and Judy tonight, and I thank them for their efforts.
Judy, congratulations. Thank you. Job well done.
Not a problem.
Thanks. Trying to remember back whose idea was it for the 3 sizes? Right, Greg? Yeah. Okay. Tony, is Nash here? I didn't see him. Oh yeah, Nash is right there. Sorry, looked right past you. I'm sorry. All right, the next honoree tonight is from the Water Department, Nash Herbst, and Tony Mock, our Director of Water Utility, will do the honors. You want to do them all together? Sure. We have Nash Herbst from Water, Damian Nevers from Water, and also Michael Lefebvre from Water.
Thank you very much. This was a difficult decision this year because everybody that I've had the pleasure to work with has done such a great job. We've implemented a number of different lean processes, as well as really delved into the particulars of our GIS system. We managed to issue an RFP for a new system. We really took a good look at our processes inside and outside the plant, and these 3 people were all instrumental in those transitions. The first is Nash Herbst. Nash is the filter plant electrical technician, as well as the programmer. Nash has been instrumental in spearheading the new SCADA system conversion, managing the chemical storage and feed system project, and tackling several different difficult projects within the plant, such as a UV rebuild, new calibration system, and new instrumentation.
Come on up. We'll get. Thank you. Congratulations. Thanks.
My second nominee is Damian Nevers. Damian started with us not that long ago. He's taken the initiative to implement those lean processes that we talked about earlier. He also developed a method for technicians to utilize the GIS in the field in a mobile format. In conjunction with the planned asset management system, staff are going to save significant amounts of time by being able to perform tasks such as hydrant flushing, meter changes, and cross-connection control inspections, as well as valve exercising in the field, and update our systems real time. Thank you very much, Damian Nevers.
Congratulations. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
My final nominee is Mike Lefebvre. Mike is a technician with the water utility. Mike also started with us, I think, in 2015. Does that sound correct? Mike is one of those people that just is an absolute go-getter. He greets every day with happiness. He really takes to his tasks. He's one of those people that really embraced the new system that we had implemented. And Mike is also doing inspections now. Mike is part of a new culture change in our plant, starting to implement technology within the day-to-day tasks, as well as really taking the initiative to learn all of our new equipment. We just were able to pick up a hydro excavator, which is something that is going to help us out quite a bit in the future. Mike is one of those people that joined our SAFE team as well. He's an excellent ambassador for safety for the city. I really have the pleasure of working with him every day, and he's a great guy. Thanks a lot, Mike.
Nice job, Mike. Nice job. Thanks. And we now have a hydroxynator, you said? Hydro-excavator. Oh, okay. Well. First person that spells that correctly gets... The library gals probably got that, so... All right. In the IS department, our technology services, we have an honoree tonight, Matthew Schrader. The award will be given by Joe Wenninger, the IT director.
Thank you, Mayor. My nominee for an exemplary performance award is Matthew Schrader. Matthew has been with the city for the past 12 years serving as a network administrator and is very dedicated and driven to provide the best technology tools the employees need to perform their duties as effectively and efficiently as possible. The instance that I felt merited his nomination was his relentless pursuit of a resolution to difficulties police officers experienced writing parking citations from the new parking enforcement solution with the mobile devices within their squads. This issue was identified shortly after implementation and continued to plague officers for months after the solution went live. The two scenarios that officers encountered were either very poor application performance that resulted in the officers spending upwards of 30 minutes to complete the citation writing process, or not being able to complete the process at all. From implementation, Matthew had worked with the vendor support team to implement and then tweak first their iOS, then their Android platform solutions to eliminate these issues, but to no avail. It was at this point that Matthew stepped back to take a fresh look at the issue, resulting in a suggested strategy to implement the solution on a few Windows tablets as a pilot or test project. After in-depth discussions with the vendor, the new tablets were prepped and configured, and officers began utilizing them to write citations. To date, officers have been efficiently completing the process of writing citations from the devices within their squads, thanks to Matthew's determination. In the world of technology, it is highly unusual that a client staff member recommends solutions to resolve a vendor's issue, but that's exactly what happened in this case. To that I say the city is extremely fortunate that Matthew is on our team. Matthew.
I want to add that Matthew is the council's iPad go-to guy, so good job, well done.
That's important. All right. Our next recipient of the award for Exemplary Performance Award, it comes from the clerk's office. Patty Stern is our city clerk. And the award will be given by Attorney Godleski, City Attorney Godleski.
As everyone knows, the city of Neenah takes great pride in its election processes throughout the years. It often goes without a hitch, and it is smooth. And the people working for the elections are well competent, well trained, and it's all because of the work of Patty Stern and her assistance in the election process. Last year presented a particularly thorny conundrum in that the school district decided, based on some concerns by parents of the interaction between students and adults voting in school polling places, that they would no longer allow polling places to be held at schools, beginning with initially they've said during the school year. But then they said that we could carry out through the end of the year. Patty, however, took the initiative to say we need to get this done as quickly as possible so that the electors became familiar with it. We were facing a very heavy election in November of 2018, a very controversial election, and she wanted to have it go smooth, so she arranged to replace 2/3 of the city's polling places in time for the August primary of 2018, and then continue with those polling places in the fall, allowing for the election process to go through in a smooth basis. So for the extra effort that Patty put into finding replacement for 2/3 of the city's polling places and for running a smooth election during a very tumultuous time, I nominated her for the Exemplary Employer Award.
Congratulations.
Thanks.
Thank you. Right, we have one more person here. It's somewhat of a combination, but from the Community Development Office, nominated Sarah Vasallos. Sorry, Sarah. Sarah is one of our CSAs, and presenting the award will be Director Chris Hayes.
Thank you, Mayor. During the summer of 2018, the Department of Community Development was faced with an expected challenge of dealing with the planned long-term absence of our code enforcement officer. That's a joke, if you don't get it. For those of you that are not familiar with our code enforcement officer, congratulations.
That's a good thing.
This position is responsible for dealing with a range of issues facing the city, including lawn grass, junk vehicles, parking problems, and junk and debris in general. It's a challenging position that requires the right personality. Individuals that are dealt with are not usually happy to see you, and unfortunately, in a number of cases, the individuals are not necessarily of sound mind. The city was fortunate to have Sarah Vasallos, I couldn't get the first name right, Sarah Vasallos, who was serving as community service officer at the time, community service aide. Sorry, they changed that after 25 years. In our police department, she stepped forward and took on the position. For those of you that know Sarah, she is somewhat soft-spoken. The only exception I heard was from Alex, her husband. In spite of the soft-spoken personality, or maybe because of it, she excelled in the position, and we could not have been happier with her performance. In the 3 short months that Sarah was with us, she completed almost 1,300 inspections, distributed over 400 corrective orders, issued 3 citations, and laid the groundwork for 5 additional citations. Because of her, I'm truly convinced that Neenah is a better place. Due to her strong work ethic, her efficiency, her effectiveness, her professionalism, and her always positive attitude, I am very pleased to recognize and nominate Sarah as an exemplary performer. Congratulations, well deserved.
Congratulations. Thank you very much. Didn't I? Thank you. The last person that was nominated for Exemplary Performance Award couldn't be with us tonight. Patricia Cundy from the Municipal Clerk's Office also will receive an Exemplary Performance Award. So those are the 2018-19 Exemplary Performance Award winners. I want to say congratulations to each and every one of you, and job well done. And I just, once again, we have a lot of employees, over 260 employees, full-time employees of the city of Neenah, and all of them at one time or the other are probably deserving because they all work extremely hard. They care about this city, this community, and I talk to them often about, the fact that the taxpayers are our bosses, and it's the little things that matter, and communication, and doing the work that, we're government, we're a service-oriented business. We want to do things that make our community better and a great place to live, to work, to play, and the quality of life. And our employees, from top to bottom, really take this to heart and really work hard. So thank you all to all of our employees. Todd, do you have anything to add on behalf of the council?
Yeah, Chuck? Yeah, on behalf of the Common Council and the taxpayers that we represent, thank you to the award winners this evening, and thank you to all of our employees. The council deals with the public in a little bit different manner than the employees do on a day-to-day basis. And when we interact with the public, most times it's in a situation where they're not happy with something. And inevitably, we lean back on the employees to help solve the issue that the constituent is dealing with. And I can share in my 29 or 30 years with the city council, I have never had an employee that embarrassed me. And I've never had a situation where the employee couldn't help the constituency. And the reality is that makes our job so much easier. So on behalf of the taxpayers, thank you for all employees do, and congratulations to the award winners.
All right. Thank you all for coming too tonight. Greg, you're welcome to stay, join us. All right. Thank you very, very much. So we will move on then. That is the fun part's done. So thank you once again. Item number 2, introduction and confirmation of some mayor's appointments. Mayor Coffert announces my reappointment of Patrick Lewis on the Neenah Menasha Joint Fire Commission. This term will expire May 2022. There is no council confirmation. Pat Lewis has been on the commission for some time and wishes to continue, and I have spoken to him. So I'm announcing that tonight. I'm also pleased to announce a new appointment of Laura Kemps to fill the expired term of Robert Spence on the Police Commission. This term will expire May of 2024. This also is a mayoral appointment. I will just like to say thank you to Bob Spence. Bob was a Neenah Foundry attorney. I believe he is still in town, but he is going back home to the Detroit area to be closer to his parents. And, you know, Bob did an exceptional job for us on the police commission and helped in many ways. And he'll be missed because he was very diligent and very dedicated in his job. But Laura is the executive director of the Boys and Girls Brigade, and he's excited about this new role. So thank you very much. Item number 3, approval of the council proceedings of May 1st, 2019 regular session. Is there a motion?
Move to approve.
Second.
There's a motion by Alderman Lundgren, second by Alderman Stevenson. Is there any objection to unanimous consent? Any objection? Seeing none, that's so ordered. Item number 4, Plan Commission report. There is none. Item number 5 is 6 is the public forum. The public forum is an opportunity for anyone to come before the council and ask the council a question or give a statement on any topic that they would like. So at this point, I would open the public forum. We ask that you try to keep your presentation for under 5 minutes. Is there anyone here who would like to speak to the council? Come on up. Please just give your names and where you live, just so we have them for the record.
Sure. All right. I'm Emma Santiago. I live in Neenah. I teach at the high school. These are 2 of my amazing students. This is Kaylee Waters, also Neenah, and Namaya Whitson, also Neenah. So we are coming. This has kind of been a process since September that we've been looking to do a mural in the city of Neenah. We've been working with people at the Neenah Police Department to kind of beautify the city. And so that's kind of where this started. And we have a new Neenah visual art team at the high school. And so these are 2 of our 12 members. And so this is kind of a bucket list item for them. And so they're super excited to do a painting on the side of a building, which brings us to where do we do a mural in the city of Neenah? And so we initially had a place, and that one kind of fell through. We drove around the city, and we came up with the city garage. And what better way to kick off the first kind of mural on a city building in Neenah for one that's really visible. So they're going to kind of present their idea. We've kind of presented it to the Arts Council as well, so now we're bringing it to all of you guys.
And this is the city, just so folks, the city garage on Cecil Street, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes.
Welcome.
Do you want me to hold it, or do you want to hold it? If you want to hold it.
Okay, so a little bit why we wanted to create this mural was a lot of the communities around Neenah have murals and displays of art, and we felt that Neenah was maybe lacking a little bit of this. So we wanted to bring the first of hopefully many murals to Neenah to help better the community. So who would be creating it? Like she already said, we just created a visual arts team at the high school this past year. And that is us two and 10 other members that would help to paint it. Our timeline for getting it done would be 3 weeks or less. And the process that we would use would be power washing the building, priming it, and then using a projector and painting our design on it.
All right. Do you have anything else? Go ahead. Welcome.
So then what we have is we have some scaffolding and we already have ways to power wash the wall and we have that set up so we can actually implement the design. And then what we still need is measurements for the building and then we still need funding, but we're going to look for individual ways to find that. And then we need to look for a paint quota.
Okay. Can you tell us a little bit about the design?
So they kind of decided we wanted to do a design that would be eye-catching, obviously. They wanted to do color. These kids love color. We thought the peace sign kind of brings together our community. Up the arm it says "Be the Change," promoting positive change in our community. It kind of also shows how our kids are moving through our school system and they are going to be the ones who are the change. So it's kind of cool for them to be able to implement this in our city. So.
Hey. Well, thank you very much. We'll see if anyone else is going to speak, and then there's a mayor council response, and we'll see if there's any questions.
Okay.
That's okay.
Yep.
All right.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
So just hang tight. Thank you very much for your presentation. Is there anyone else here who would like to speak to us during the public forum section? Anyone else? All right, seeing no one else, I will close the public forum and we'll move on to mayor council consideration of public forum issues. Is there anyone with any comments or questions? I do want to, Emma, if you'd want to come back up, I just wanted to make sure there was no one else that wanted to speak. The timeline, I heard him say 3 weeks, but the timeline is also this school year. Is that right?
Well, I have very motivated seniors that are coming in summer. So the plan is by the time, if it gets approved from the time that we start it to finish painting it, having it sealed and ready, would be about 3 weeks, hopefully less.
Okay, but this project could be done during the summer.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
I didn't know if it had to be done by the end of the school year because they were moving on.
We ideally originally wanted that, but Wisconsin weather didn't help us either, so we wouldn't have really been able to paint until this week anyways. So my group is fine with coming in summer. We can be out there for 5 hours versus 3 hours after school. So
okay.
Yep.
Any other questions, comments? Alderman Coons.
Thank you, Mayor. I think it's a great idea. My only question would be really towards Dr. Hayes and whether our sign ordinance allows for it.
Yes.
Fabulous. Thank you.
Alderman Bates.
Thank you, Mayor. Since this is going on a public building, do we have any sort of acceptance or review? Would it go to one committee or another?
It would
process?
it would be reviewed by the Plan Commission. All public art is, and that recommendation would run up to the council for final.
Okay. My other question would be this is just a preference for me, is the hand coming up. If it could be multiracial, it'd be nice too.
Yeah, I think that's why they made it. It's just plain white and black because then it doesn't prefer a race. Just because it would be like a cream, more of a tanny color, so that it does go to all races, but they could definitely alter it to be all different kinds. They were trying to go for the color combo. But yeah, for sure. One thing I didn't mention on the background color, they're thinking if we get it approved for City Garage, there's already a tan paint color on the building, so that would be the background color versus the bright yellow, so that it looks like it belongs with the building. I failed to mention that, sorry.
Okay. I have one question. Yep. When we formed the Arts Council, we now have an arts policy in the city. Does the Arts Council have to take action on this too, or You recall, Alderman Erickson?
I think it comes before the Art Council for review, but it does go before the Plan Commission for approval. Is that correct?
I think both act as an advisory role to the Common Council who makes the final decision.
Alderman Boyette.
Thank you. I think it's a great idea. I like the artwork, I like the color. I have one problem, and that's the Be the Change up the arm. I have a problem that what you interpret it to be, somebody else might not, and what works now may not in the future. So if we could not put that on there, or, I don't know, change something else, because I just don't think for the longevity of it being up there that it might not be interpreted, and it could get political with some folks. And I wouldn't want anybody to feel uncomfortable or that we okayed something, and you can't please everyone, but I just that's my thought. So
Yeah, for sure.
but I think it's great. I love the design. I'm all for doing something there. So thank you guys. I appreciate it.
Thank you. I just want to remind people during the response, we try to limit to questions, maybe a comment or two, but we don't want to get into a full-blown discussion. But I think this is probably going to have to go to committee, and then we can get into some of the details. But anyone else have any questions or comments? Alderman Stevenson.
Thank you. One question, then I'll make a motion to defer or refer. Which wall are we looking at? The west wall, facing west? Facing south, so it'll face Cecil Street.
Cecil Street.
Okay. All right, I'm going to make a motion to refer the request to both the Plan Commission and the Arts Council.
It should also include the public services.
And
because the building is public services.
Second.
You want me to do that, Gene?
So Alderman Stevenson moves to refer this request to the Plan Commission, the Arts Council, and also the Public Services and Safety Committee, which is the committee of jurisdiction. Is there a second? Alderman Boyette seconds it. Is there any objection? Seeing no objection, that's referred to those committees. So we'll notify you when those committees are coming up. If you could bring someone,
Yep.
That'd be awesome, and maybe we can get this done yet this summer.
Awesome. Cool.
Okay?
Thank you so much.
Thank you. All right, thanks for coming, ladies. Item number 8, consent agenda. Is there a motion on the consent agenda?
Move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
There's a motion by Alderman Stevenson, seconded by Alderman Lendrum. Is there any objection for unanimous consent? Any objection? Seeing none, that's so ordered. Item number 9, report of the standing committees. Public Services and Safety Committee meeting of May 7th, 2019. Chairman Bates.
Thank you, Mayor. The meeting minutes can be found on the city website. Committee recommends council approve ordinance 2019-13, amending Article 4, Stormwater Management Services, and I would so move.
There's a motion by Alderman Bates.
Second.
Seconded by Alderman Lang. Any discussion? For ordinance number 2019-13, amending the Article 4 Stormwater Management Services. Alderman Bates.
Thank you, Mayor. I believe there's some emails that went back and forth between an alderman and our Director of Public Works, and so I would refer it to Jerry.
Thank you, Marge. Alderman Bates. Alderman Coons and I exchanged a few emails. He had questions, a little concern with some of the phrasing. In the ordinance, I haven't had a chance to go through those with City Attorney Godleski. And so at this point, I guess my preference would be to refer this back to committee so that I can have that discussion with Jim and we can get that cleaned up.
So I'd like to make the amendment to refer back to committee.
Alderman Bates moves to refer this item back to the committee. Is there a second?
Second.
There's a second by Alderman Coons. Any objection to that motion? Seeing none, that's so ordered.
Item number 2, committee recommends council approve the outdoor extension of premises application for Barrel 41 Brewery, 1132 South Commercial Street, contingent upon a report providing council with clarifications regarding permit applicability and permit conditions.
Is there a motion? Let's get
So moved.
Let's get the motion on the table first. Alderman Lundgren moves, seconded by Alderman Boyette. Director Hayes.
Sure, I believe one of the items or the primary item out of committee was the question of the ability or requirement for a 6-foot fence screening between this property, this use, and the adjacent residential use. I did inspect the property last week, and given the location of where the beer garden will end, well inside of the building end or edge of the building itself serves as an effective screen, in essence blocking any view of the beer garden from the adjoining property. In addition to that, there was a conversation with the residential neighborhood to explain not the requirement, what was discovered, and there was no issue from that particular property owner or have any concerns with the beer garden without the screen. So it was my opinion and my recommendation that the permit be granted without that requirement.
Okay. Alderman Bates.
Thank you, Mayor. Considering now that the neighbor has a fence on his own property, if in the future they decide to take it down or it falls down, I believe the 6-foot fence requirement has to do also with providing a barrier for people to get in from like his yard over there. Would that be something that if in the future that fence comes down, he could say, well, I don't want to put a fence up, it's on you again?
Yeah, the fence that he has there is about a 4-foot chain link.
Right.
So the fencing requirement as it is relative to the beer garden is specifically to screen view and noise from the garden to the residential neighborhood. There's fencing requirements, buffer yard requirements is maybe what you were thinking about, but those requirements are not in play since the property was utilized prior to those requirements being adopted within the ordinance. So it was a retail establishment prior, so there's no mechanism within the ordinance that would require a change in occupancy of a building like that to require those buffer yard requirements. The exception to that is if a building goes dark for some period of time, which often happens, then those requirements can be instituted.
If I may?
Go ahead.
I seem to remember when we first put that in, or some of those requirements in, we had a few alcohol establishments along the line having to put up fences at their back end because they had a beer garden.
Mm-hmm.
And
so I'm sorry if I wasn't clear. So what I was referring to was the buffer yard requirements for a commercial business adjacent to residential. The fencing as it relates to the beer gardens is required because of the adjacent residential property being within 150 feet, typically abutting that property, and therefore needing the fencing. But in this case, as I mentioned, the building extends well beyond the end of the beer garden, so that the building itself not only does it function like a 6-foot fence, it's actually much better because it's a solid wall for much higher than 6 feet.
what I'm not getting is, from what I understood of the 6-foot at one time, since we only require a 3-foot fence at the front, and this gentleman eventually takes his fence down, his kids play in the backyard, now have access to a 3-foot fence. I mean, I understand it's not usual with the beer gardens, but there were others that had to put one up.
Yeah, if the only question in my mind when I looked at the property was, would there be a short piece of 6-foot fence, probably less than 5 feet, that would in essence be the end cap of the beer garden for the screening purposes? not to prevent anyone from getting in. The 3-foot fence is still required around the entire circumference of the beer garden. Is that?
I guess I would, if the city attorney would look into this later, and if he finds out that it's to keep people out, then I would, at another meeting, would come back and request that.
And if I could, the fencing requirements per the beer garden ordinance to keep people, to define the beer garden, keep them out however you want, that's being met, right? The only question in this case was the 6-foot screening. And as you mentioned, when we had a beer garden that was truly in a backyard, abutting a residential, that fencing is required in order to provide that buffer. In this case, we're in the front yard, still within 150 feet of the property. So then, in theory, the fencing is required, but again, because the building in essence is effectively providing that screening, it seems that it would be redundance, not even a term. It would be something that we'd require for the sake of requiring it that wouldn't really have any additional benefit.
I guess I still request the city attorney look over that, and if something would.
If I could, what do you ask? What are you asking to check? Because I'm not sure what.
The check, from what I understood, is a 6-foot fence is to prohibit people from a residential or them coming out and on their way to their car going off to somebody's yard to whatever on the peonies, as we used to say.
My understanding of the fence requirements, the beer garden ordinance, that just has to demarcate the area that the beer garden is located. The 6-foot relates to the relation to the residential, not to the location.
And this one's kind of different because it is in a front lot, but the front of the building is essentially abuts his yard. So it's not as if it's like abutting another commercial property as a sidewalk like we have downtown. It just seems a little, I would want to err on the side of protection, my only thing.
Yeah, I don't know how that.
Because if that fence were to come down, then it just, I will defer.
If I understand, Alderman Bates, your area, your concern is the south end of the beer garden, proposed beer garden, and that's about a 5.5 foot wide area, correct? It's just the south end, the end cap, so to speak.
Well, that's to block a view. I'm more concerned about just wandering back to, it's similar, it's very close to being a side yard essentially because it's pretty much abutting another property.
And okay, and there will only be one entrance into this and one entrance, the same entrance out, correct? And that will be on the north end closest to the door.
And no one can, it has to be a waitress that comes out to the tables. They cannot walk out of the building to that area.
The ordinance requires you to be served at tables.
Right.
We can, in all due respect, we can check that concern that you have. I'm not sure the ordinance is going to be very clear as to the intent of that. My memory was that it was primarily a screening, but we'll take a look at the ordinance, see what it says.
Thank you.
But nobody will be able to exit the beer garden on that south end. I think that's one of the concerns. Oh, I'm hearing it anyways. City Attorney Godlewski made a little memo here. Jim, do you have anything to add with regards to beer gardens? And this is a little bit unique situation because this is a state-issued brewery. So do you have anything to add?
The ordinance technically applies to city licensed premises because at the time that the beer garden was established, I don't think the brew pub permit was fully in place at that point. But in any case, the regulations could apply to state permitted brew pubs and breweries. There's probably a need for some clarification, so we will prepare up a ordinance to come before the Public Services Committee in early June.
There's a motion and a second. There's also a request from Alderman Bates that the city attorney take one more look at this to make sure that all the conditions are met. Okay, and that's Alderman Coons.
Just a clarification. We are voting on strictly the motion in front of us, not the request for additional information. Okay, thank you.
All right, so there is a motion before us to recommend council approve the outdoor extension of the premise application for a beer garden for Barrel 41, 1132 South Commercial Street. All in favor of that motion, vote aye. All opposed, vote no. Using the roll call machine, please. There are 7 ayes, 1 abstention, and 1 absent. That motion passes.
And that concludes my report.
Thank you very much. Item number B is the Special Finance and Personnel Committee meeting of May 8th, 2019. Chairperson Erickson.
Thank you, Mayor. Reporting out from the Special Finance and Personnel Committee meeting of May 8th, 2019. Item number 1, the committee recommends council authorize the police department to reorganize the staffing structure as follows. Change the position of part-time open records clerk to a full-time open records / accreditation assistant effective June 1st, 2019 or later, adding a 0.5 FTE. Eliminate a full-time ComTech position effective July 5th, 2019, removing a 1.0 FTE and changing the position of part-time ComTech to the position of part-time fleet manager effective June 1st, 2019 or later, with no change to FTE, for a total net reduction of 0.5 FTE within the police department, and I so move.
There's a motion by Alderman Erickson, seconded by Alderman Coons. Any discussion, questions on this item? Alderman Coons?
Thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to take the opportunity to say, I've said it a few times, but the change I've seen in the police department, the effort and energy to continually improve it, to make it new again. I don't know how else to put that, but it's something it's very obvious, very easy to see, and from my perspective, very much appreciated. If I say that.
All right, thank you very much. Anyone else? Alderman Erickson?
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like the chief to come up if he could. I just would like him to explain the change in the procedure if you were to stop into the police department in the evening, how that would affect citizens if they came into the police department, what they would then need to do, and how they would be contacting a police officer.
Chief Olson?
So if it's a non-emergency, they will pick up a phone that will automatically dial our supervisor. If our supervisor is not available after 4 rings, then it gets transferred to our communications center at the sheriff's department. So within 4 rings, if we don't answer, the dispatch center will answer. And then they will dispatch an officer, just like we do now for any call. If it's an emergency and they're being pursued by somebody or anything like that, there's a red button and it'll lock the doors behind them so no one can gain access to the police department. And that's similar to now as well, because if we have a ComTech at the front, they can't do anything besides shut the door either. So it's really no change other than there's no person there, just a telephone to get an officer there, if that makes sense.
Thank you. That was helpful.
Can you give the times of operation again?
We'll be closed from 11 p.m. to 7 a.m.
Okay.
And that's 7 days a week, but we'll still be open on the weekends as well from 7 a.m. to 11 p.m.
Fourth of some special dates.
Right.
Okay, thank you. Alderman Coons and Alderman Erickson, both are done. I just want to say that when the chief brought this to me a while back, I told him that he needed to refine it. I wasn't ready for this. I had a few questions. I wanted to know what other departments did. I think he has done his homework and has convinced me. Almost all the neighbor departments, with the exception of Menasha, I found out, all the neighboring departments, a lot of departments around the state actually close their front desk at 6 p.m. at night.
Usually 4 to 6,
Between
somewhere in
4
there.
p.m. and 6 p.m., there's no one answering the front desk. I was pretty firm that I believed we need a safe place for people to go to. He has addressed all my concerns, I think. We're never going to be 100% fail safe that someone's going to be protected, and if someone wants to get into that building, they're going to get into that building. But it's probably no different than what goes on now, because the person at the front desk, if all the officers are out of the station, that person in the front desk is not a sworn officer, not trained to do anything, and so not much is going to change. The safeguards are built in for an emergency. I think the officers, the response times would be very quick. So I think this is a good, cost-effective, efficient way to do things. And we are having a lot of difficult hiring for this position, this overnight ComTech position. We went through 3 in a little bit more than a year or something. So I think this is a great plan that we put together. We can always change it if we feel it's not working, but based upon the history and what's happening in other departments and that, I was convinced that we could do this. So I told the chief he could move forward and bring this to the council, and I do appreciate the work that has been done on this to alleviate my fears, because I'm kind of old school, and it took a little bit, but I think with technology and all that, this will work. So thanks.
And if I could add one more thing. Last year, we spent $39,000 in overtime just to staff their front desk. So that's a pretty big chunk of our overtime budget, and that was one of the contributing factors, plus the fact that obviously, it's hard to staff.
When a ComTech wasn't available, a sworn officer would be many times taken off the street or brought in to do this job.
Right, and if we weren't at minimums, or if we were not above minimums, then we had to pay them overtime. So we're going to save probably, $39,000 in overtime plus the half position we came back, but still be more efficient than we are now, which it doesn't seem to equal out, but it is going to equal out. And that will be more efficient.
All right, thank you. And it isn't all just about the money, because I want to, my thing was to make sure that we had a pretty fail-safe program in place, that if someone wanted a safe place, they could find it. And I think, like I said earlier, the chief has taken care of my concerns with regards to making sure that it's a safe place where someone can go if they need a safe place to go. So, thank you. Alderman Bates.
Thank you, Mayor. When you spoke of technology, one thing I was thinking is when you're coming into a situation like that, there's cameras, I'm sure, that focus on that area. So whoever's the person is calling, would they have access to what's going on in the front area?
The dispatch center won't, but our officers will. So
Okay.
if there's something happening, they should have access on their laptops to see what's going on in the lobby.
And the other thing would be nice is if in the future we could figure out a way to almost, when you have almost like a video call, so you see who you're talking to, because if you're in a state of agitation, if you could relate to another face that's watching you, you would feel more comfortable. My last question is, do we have an idea of how many walk-ins we might have had during those hours? It's probably low.
So average is 1.6 an hour, and that includes call-ins and walk-ins. So people calling our front desk and walking into the police department is 1.6 an hour from 11 p.m. to 7 a.m.
Thank you.
Okay, good questions.
And that's an average, including the really high nights. But we're actually going to staff a few nights a year on those really busy nights like 4th of July, during the fireworks season. So that average will come down when you don't factor in those busy nights.
All right, thank you very much for the explanation. There's a motion and a second. All in favor, vote aye. All opposed, vote no. Using the roll call machine, please. That motion passes 8-0.
Item number 2, the committee recommends council accept the Post Crescent quotation and designate it the city's official newspaper for June 2019 through June 2020, and I so move.
There's a motion by Alderman Erickson,
Second.
seconded by Alderman Coons. Any discussion? Alderman Bates.
Thank you, Mayor. Has anything gone through on having a website as being our contact to people with the, does the newspaper have to have a certain subscription number in order to count? And if they get below that, are we allowed to switch over?
No. There is a possibility that you could do printed summaries of the second and third insertion on Class 2 and Class 3 notices, but that also requires that it be published in the paper as well. So that the way that it's set up in state statute doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to save any. If we were to go away from it, we're required to have an official newspaper. The Post Crescent qualifies, as far as a printed newspaper, it's probably the one that gets the most coverage in Neenah versus the Oscar, the Northwest.
So to be an acceptable newspaper level, is there subscription numbers that are considered, or?
Yes. I don't remember them offhand, but there are
Okay.
standards for that. My understanding is that Post Crescent doesn't meet that.
Thank you.
Alderman Boyette.
Thank you. My question is for City Attorney. I recall there was a question by Alderman Stevenson in the meeting regarding the qualification and the fact that they weren't in the same county. What did you find out on that?
I'm afraid I did not have a chance to get to that. I'll take a look at it and get an email out before the end.
Even though they've lost a lot of subscribers that get home delivery, I know there's still, they wouldn't give me numbers, but they're still, I believe, well above where I think most people even think they are. And if you go to the Post Crescent online, they have 47,000 people that like the postcrescent.com that, follow, I guess it's called, follow the postcrescent.com. So, online, there's 47,019. So it's quite a few people follow them online. So I don't know what their subscription is, though, because they wouldn't give those numbers out to me, at least. Okay? So all in favor will vote aye. All opposed will vote no, making the Post Crescent designated as the city's official newspaper. You guys are making it difficult. 6 ayes, 1 no, and 1 abstention, and 1 absent.
And that concludes my report.
Thank you very much. Item number 10 is special committees. There was no plan commission meeting. Board of Public Works meeting of May 7th. Vice Chairman Bates.
Thank you, Mayor. These are informational items. The board approved pay estimate number 1 for contract 1-19, miscellaneous sewer and water main construction and street construction on Caroline Street, Stevens Street, and 5th Street to Carl Bowers and Sons Construction Incorporated, Kalkana, in the amount of $520,840.35. The board approved pay estimate number 1 for contract 2-19, miscellaneous sewer and water main construction and street construction on Stanley Street, Stanley Court, and Thomas Court to Robert J. Immel Excavating Incorporated, Greenville, in the amount of $194,518.20. And lastly, the board approved Washington Park Phase 3 pay request number 1 to R&R Wash Materials, Ripon, in the amount of $137,998.11. And that concludes my report.
Thank you very much. Item number C, Community Development Authority. Is there any report, Director Hayes?
Thank you, Mayor. There's plenty going on, but little to report. We continue to work hard on the 2 potential downtown projects. Last week, Deputy Director Schmidt and I spent an afternoon in Madison looking at similar projects that the developer of Site 6 is proposing and working through some outstanding issues relative to Site 6. It's an ongoing punch list of items that have to be addressed there. Public Works has been involved with helping us resolve some of those issues, as well as some of the local utility companies. We continue to work so that We are hoping to look at a draft development agreement on that site soon. In terms of sites 1 through 3, we are in the process of reviewing tentative development agreements and working hard to try and get the numbers to work for that project. That will take an additional 2 development agreements to get done. So hopefully we'll have those at some point here in the near future.
Any questions? Alderman Stevenson.
Chris, had some ancillary discussions regarding the warehouse property that we're working to acquire. Is there anything to report on that? And can we, the council, look to receive an update as to where we are with it?
Sure. I haven't had an opportunity to look at that in recent weeks. We were presented with an appraisal from the owner. That number was significantly higher than we had estimated. I have had a contract with another appraiser to evaluate that appraisal, and there's some discrepancies between and some points of interest between the owner's appraisal and what our appraiser has evaluated. Bottom line, the number is still pretty high. We're probably, it's pretty high. I'll leave it at that.
Very good. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Item number D is the library board report. Alderman Erickson.
Thank you, Mayor. The library board met today at 4 o'clock, and I have some exciting news. At our last council meeting on May 1st, we approved changing the dollars for the circulation desk, and that work has started. And the circulation desk is now moved to where you enter the library. And so if you want to see this project in process, you could stop in at the Neenah Public Library, check out a few books, and take a look at what they're doing. I think it'll be a really nice addition to the library, very convenient. And one other thing is I passed out tonight the Friends of the Neenah Public Library newsletter. And in the newsletter, there is a feature called Hoopla. At our April board meeting, the Neenah Library Board approved purchasing Hoopla, which is, and I didn't know what this was, but it's a really cool thing for people who are interested in access to movies, music, audiobooks, ebooks, comics, and TV shows on your computer, tablet, or phone, and even your TV. With no waiting, titles can be streamed immediately or downloaded to phones or tablets for offline enjoyment later. Hundreds of thousands of titles to choose from, with more being added daily. And you need to visit the library's website for further details on this and to sign up. And then also you could call the library with questions. I passed out a card on the 3-step process for downloading Hoopla, and this will be available starting next Monday. So I encourage you to check it out. It's a really great feature that will be available to the City of Neenah residents and everybody else who uses the Neenah Public Library. And that concludes my report. In addition, I have one more thing. Sorry, I'm going to backtrack. I found out today that the Neenah Public Library will this summer be a site for free lunches, and that program will be held June 10th through July 18th, and the lunches will not be available the week of the 4th of July. They coincide with when summer school is offered, and that program last year was a huge success, and they're going to do it again this year. And that concludes my report. In addition, please visit the library and check out books.
Thank you very much. Is there any report from the Neenah Arts Council as Alderperson Erickson?
Yes, the Neenah Arts Council met on May 8th. We have a number of things that we are working on right now. We were approached by the art teacher, Emily Santiago, about the mural project. So we did discuss that. On July 17th of this year, we will have our Plein Air event in conjunction with the Bergstrom Mahler Museum of Glass Art Festival. And on September 16th, we are going to have our first live music event in the city. So we have a lot of things that we're working on right now. And if you have any questions or would like to attend an art council meeting, please contact me. And that concludes my report.
Thank you. Now, there are no petitions. Any council directives? Gary? Alderman Ludrum.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to add another council directive onto the agenda. I'm going to read it so I'm accurate on this. I'd like to make a motion to add a council directive to direct community development staff to research and potentially propose a change to the zoning code restricting gravel driveways in residential zoning districts and requiring at a minimum a one-car garage for all residential new builds structures in the city. All other homes would be grandfathered in my motion. This research will most likely include researching other communities, understanding the impacts, i.e. extra costs for the homeowner, the benefits to our community. I just want this information in order to determine whether I even want to pursue these changes. So I'd like to make that motion.
Solomon Lunders has asked that this topic be put on as a council directive. Do you have that written somewhere so you can?
I do, and I've emailed it to Patty.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. If you could just get that so we have what you're looking for.
Second.
All right. There's a motion and a second for that, and then that will be voted on the next meeting. Is that correct? Correct. All right. Thank you. Anything else? Unfinished business? Alderman Stevenson.
We've had some conversations about schedule now for the end of May and workshop. You know, Memorial Day being a Monday, finance was scheduled for that day. What we're
Victor Easker.
With regard to the Finance Committee, we've been working with Chairman Erickson, that if agenda items occurred that there were enough of them, let's say, to hold a meeting, we would bump that meeting up to May 20th. At this point, we have one agenda item that the person who was asking for that item said could wait for the first June meeting. So absent that, we have not heard anything. We gave a deadline to mid-morning tomorrow for everybody if anything came up. Absent that, I think the idea would be we would not hold a second meeting in May for the Finance Committee, and then everything would funnel into June 10th.
So the normal meeting for Monday, May 27th will not be held because of Memorial Day.
Right.
The alternate date of May 20th.
20th, that was the Monday earlier.
A notice will be sent out tomorrow, but it appears for the chairperson, if there's no agenda items, that will be.
Right, and in fact, we wouldn't send a notice because it's not actually a regularly scheduled. We would send out a notice if we were going to.
Cancel it.
All right.
very good.
Then with regards to the Public Services and Safety Committee meeting, Council President Stevenson, I believe there are plenty of issues for that meeting that will be held May 28th, correct? Chairperson?
Yes, several of us had plans for that week. That's kind of our 1 week of no meetings, and so I just put it the 28th, leave it there.
Okay. And then Todd and I have talked, and I've talked to most of you. I've talked to almost all of the staff. The two alternatives were May 29th, which was a Wednesday night for workshop on the CIP, or June 3rd. It appears June 3rd is a better day for most people, so we would do June 3rd and June 19th. June 3rd workshop, June 19th would be the action at the council. Is that okay? And June 3rd, June 19th. We'll probably start the workshop at 6 p.m. So We'll start the workshop at 6 p.m.
Thank you.
And the one thing, that I'll give the Post Crescent did have a pretty in-depth story about the CIP. So our official newspaper did have a pretty darn in-depth article. So Duke did a nice job of laying out for the people. And I will also tell you that I was surprised at how many people commented on it. So they saw it either online or in the paper, because a lot of people did comment on that article. So it did generate some interest. And mostly positive. So that was good. So unfinished business, new business. Continuing other unfinished business very quickly here. I do want to mention and thank a lot of people today, especially the Park and Rec Commission, Park and Rec Department. Touch a Truck was held today, and Alderman Stevenson was out there, Alderman Bates. I don't know if anyone else was. Hundreds of kids. I mean, this is geared towards the toddlers. I think 2 to 4, so probably be preschoolers and that before school. There were hundreds of children out there, tons of parents. It was a beautiful day. Lots of companies outside of city trucks, but also some private industry trucks and that took the time to send out one of their trucks. So kids had the opportunity. The police department was out there with the Bearcat or the Cayman. The fire department had the fire trucks out there. So I just want to say thank you, because it turned out to be a beautiful day. This was pushed back a week. The mayor did survive his 105-foot ladder climb. So we are not buying any bigger ladders around here, please. 105 is enough. So some people are going to win some money. The firefighters met their goal of fundraising for the splash pad. I want to say thank you to the citizens of this community that stepped forward and bought the little sponge fireball firemen, and that was kind of fun to watch. Some TV cameras showed up in that, so it was just a good day overall. And then if you notice, the flags are out on Commercial Street for Armed Forces Day, all the branches of government, and it really looks very, very nice, very cool. And I've already had 2 phone calls, and they just got put up this afternoon on the bridge by the YMCA to celebrate the veterans, celebrate Armed Forces Day, which is on Saturday. There'll be a ceremony at the Isle of Valor in Menasha, if anyone's interested, for 10 a.m. The Isle of Valor in Menasha, if anyone would like to go there. So I'd like just one more time thank the Neenah Menasha Honor Guard for donating the flags for the bridge. And those are up. I know this will air afterwards, but you can go Channel 5 Newsmakers. The mayor went up to Green Bay yesterday and filmed a half-hour TV show with Tom Zalaski. Newsmakers on Sunday mornings, I believe, at 9:30. So it should be on at 9:30 a.m. It was all about economic development, all the good things going on in Neenah, all the positive things. Great pictures. They came to Neenah, took some really great shots. I could see what was on the screen, and we talked about Neenah and the economic development challenges we face, and all the good things and the projects that are in the pipeline or on the cusp of the pipeline. So even after this airs, if people want to go online, I think if you go to Channel 5 and you go to Newsmakers, they archive these things, so you can pull that up and learn a little bit more about all the good things that we got going on in the city. So just wanted to make you aware of that. Or you can watch it live also. Any other unfinished business? Alderman Stevenson, go ahead.
Yeah, just to follow up on the fundraiser today, people that contributed, bought the little firefighters, where they can, are they picking them up here or at fire station?
Fire station.
Fire station 31.
32, I think.
32, okay.
32, right across.
Okay, good, thank you. And my second issue is I sent out earlier, right before the meeting today, I sent an email out to the council regarding information for the Memorial Day Parade. And Jane Lang wins the award because she's already responded. Nice job. And so just look for that.
Jane is that one kid who always, got to be out ahead of everybody. You're that kid, Jane. Good job. All right, so that's all I have. And then I have to move one other thing here. I've got lastly, I've got, and for council members too, I know this won't air in time, but Jane is having a big day Sunday at noon at the Historical Society. Jane, got anything to add to that? I know it starts at noon.
Yep, starts at noon with former Lieutenant Governor Rebecca Clayfish coming in her new role as the Executive Director of the Presidential Commission to celebrate the centennial of women's suffrage. And we are opening our exhibit, Voting for a Change, the impact of the 19th Amendment on our community at that time. So please join us on Sunday at noon, from noon to 4.
Some of the influential women of Neenah is the area, correct?
Yep. Some very amazing women from Neenah who had a huge impact on the passage of the 19th Amendment.
Good, thank you. Under item number 14, new business, Mayor Crawford's appointment to fill the expired term of Grant Birch, Al Long, and Wayne Siegel on the Board of Review for a 5-year term that will expire June of 2024. This will be considered at the June 5th council meeting. Item number B, Mayor Crawford's appointment to fill the expired term of Bonnie Flegel and James Sudlak on the Loan Assistance Board for a 3-year term to expire June 2022. That'll also be at the June 5th meeting. Is there any other announcements? Oh boy, bunch. Alderman Boyette.
Thank you. I just wanted to remind everybody that this Friday is National Poppy Day, and that the American Legion Auxiliary Women will be out collecting donations and handing out poppies at local businesses. So make sure you get yours and help support our local veterans.
Alderman Stevenson?
Yeah.
Or Coons. Alderman Coons when it's read. I'm sorry. Alderman Coons.
No, thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to let the council know I did receive a letter from John Bergstrom, partly mostly for being on the Park and Rec Commission, but in that letter he expressed his excitement for the updates and changes to Washington Park, and I just wanted to pass that along, that it isn't even done yet, and people are noticing what's going on there. So, thank you.
The playground area is open at Washington Park, and there is just a ton of kids out there playing when I drive by. And the basketball courts always seems to have a basketball game going on. No balls are going in the street. But lots of kids playing in that park, and still, and they're like Mike sent out a thing, they're a little bit behind because of weather, but they're still hoping to have it done on time, and still hoping to have that splash pad open in August, so that'll be fun. Alderman Stevenson.
Thank you. Just as a follow-up, at the event this morning, there, as the mayor indicated, there are a lot of young kids there, and the news of the Washington Park playground area being open was not lost on that group, and they were all talking about it. And the follow-up, the Newsmaker Sunday morning program is on 7:30.
7:30 a.m.?
Yeah.
Thank you.
I thought it was earlier.
All right, well, thanks. It's with Tom Zaleski, and he did I think hopefully it'll come out well, and it did a great job in showcasing the community. So, Director Kaiser.
Just announcing National Public Works Week is next week. So thank you, garbage men, and all the other guys and gals that help the city run.
Okay. Anyone else have anything for the good of the order? If not, is there a motion to adjourn?
Move to adjourn.
There's a motion for adjournment, and there's a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. We are adjourned. The mayor's assistant gets...
Broadcasts of the City of Neenah Common Council meetings are produced by University Studios of the University of Wisconsin-Fox Valley. Neenah residents can get information about City Council meetings, City Committee meetings, meeting agendas, and other documents via the City website, www.neenahgov.org. Neenah residents can express their opinions about city issues or about these broadcasts by contacting the mayor's office. contacting their city alderman, or by completing the electronic feedback form on the city website, www.neenahgov.org. All public portions of the meetings are recorded in entirety and are not edited for playback.